45 days, and that's it. That's how long this game lasted. 45 days from launch to servers completely off. Lights out, done. And the wild part about that is, the people who made it used to work on one of the most successful shooters ever made. So what happened? Let me set this scene for you. It's December of 2025, and the Game Awards is going on, which if you don't know, is basically the Oscars for gaming. Every major studio fights to get a slot on that show because hundreds of thousands of people are watching live. And the guy who runs the whole thing, he saves the absolute last slot of the night for the biggest reveal. That last slot in 2025, he gave it to Highguard. Not GTA 6, not some long-awaited sequel, Highguard. A brand new game from a brand new studio called Wildlight Entertainment. And look, on paper, that actually makes sense, because Wildlight wasn't just some random team. They were ex-Respawn devs, the same people who built Apex Legends from the ground up. So there's genuine credibility there. The game itself was a raid shooter. Think Destiny vibes, but faster, more aggressive, and it's free to play. The trailer looked clean, the concept sounded interesting enough, but the second it hit the screen, the internet did what the internet does. The comments went negative almost immediately. People were comparing it to Concord, and if you don't know what Concord is, I actually have a video that I made about that, and I'll give a brief rundown here real quick. Sony spent $400 million on a hero shooter that got completely shut down 2 weeks after it launched. 2 weeks. It became a symbol for everything wrong with how big studios chase trends without understanding why those trends work. And Highguard looked just enough like it that people weren't willing to give it a chance. Now here's where Wildlight made their first real mistake. When you're getting that kind of heat online, the smart move is to let people actually play the game, run a beta, do a limited soft launch. Let the gameplay speak for itself, because gameplay is the only thing that actually changes minds. And they didn't do that. They just set a release date and went for it. January 2026. Full launch, no beta, no safety net, straight into the deep end. I guess that's how confident they were. And to be fair to them, it started okay. 2 million people played Highguard in the first few days. That's not nothing. That's actually a pretty solid opening for a free game that the internet had already decided it hated. There were people genuinely enjoying it, leaving positive reviews, making content about it. But here's the thing about live service games, and this is something the industry keeps refusing to learn. The first week doesn't matter. What matters is week 3. Week 6. Are people still logging in? Are they telling their friends? Is there enough to keep someone coming back after they've seen everything once? And the numbers started dropping fast. Not like a slow decline. Fast. The kind of drop that makes the man upstairs sweat. No, not that man upstairs. By mid-February, Wildlight put out a statement saying that they were letting go of most of their staff. They kept a core team to keep supporting the game. And that's always a bad sign. When a studio starts using phrases like core team and focused development, what they're really saying is that the money is running out and they're trying to figure out how to land the plane. A lot of people saw that announcement and knew what was coming. Nobody expected it to come this fast. March 3rd, 2026, barely 6 weeks after launch, Wildlight posted to X. They thanked the players, said over 2 million people had stepped into Highguard's world, said the team was proud of what they had built, and then announced the servers were going offline March 12th. 9 days later, gone. Now here's the part that actually got people talking after the shutdown. One of the ex-developers, not officially representing Wildlight, just a dev who worked on the game, came out and said the content creators killed Highguard, that the game was labeled a failure before it ever launched, and that by the time it actually came out, the narrative was already set and people had already decided, and no amount of good gameplay was going to overcome that. And honestly, they're not completely wrong. Listen, there's a real problem in gaming right now where a game can get buried by opinion before anyone's ever touched it. Concord happened, and then suddenly every hero shooter with a diverse roster gets the same treatment, regardless of whether it's actually good or not. That's a legitimate issue. Now listen, hold on. I know I've made videos, guys. Hey, listen, I know I've made videos. But I made them after the game's dead, besides my Subnautica video, okay? Listen, that was just a genuine opinion. Maybe we can fix that. Hey, but you can't blame your way out of a bad strategy. If the game was good enough, a beta would have shown that. If the gameplay loop was actually there, letting people play it early would have changed the conversation. The hate online was loud, but 2 million downloads proved people were still willing to try it. And they tried it. And then they left. That's not a content creator problem, that's a retention problem. Get it? And this is the thing that keeps happening in this industry recently. Apex Legends worked because it launched into a space that needed something new. It was polished and the movement system was unlike anything in that genre. It earned its player base. Highguard launched into a market that is absolutely exhausted by live service games. People are tired. They've been burned by Anthem, Babylon's Fall, Concord, The Day Before, and the list keeps going on. Every few months, there's another one. And each time it happens, players get a little bit more protective of their time, a little less willing to invest in something that might disappear in 6 weeks. Wildlight walked into the room and tried to win on pedigree alone. Trust us, we made Apex. But that was a different team, a different time, a different market. Lightning doesn't strike the same way twice just because you're standing in the same spot. 52 games have already shut down in 2026. We're barely halfway through the year. Highguard is just the most dramatic one because of how high profile the launch was. And the honest takeaway here isn't that games are dying or the live service is dead. It's that studios keep treating players' trust like it's automatic. Like you can announce a game at the biggest show of the year, drop it 2 months later with no real beta, and expect people to stick around just because you've got a good looking trailer. Players aren't doing that anymore. They've learned. We've learned. And the studios that figure that out are the ones that are still running servers 5 years later from now. Highguard deserved better. The team that built it deserved better, but the decisions that killed it were made long before anyone ever pressed play.